So after we've mastered the legs only portion of this breathing exercise, we are going to add in arms as well. So what that's going to look like is if you have a anterior pelvic tilt, again, you're going to grab this towel roll to place underneath the small of your back to bring the floor up so that it's easier to engage your deep core rather than just engaging your rectus abdominis to shove your back down to the floor. The most important thing to keep in mind when adding arms in, especially if you have an anterior pelvic tilt or any sort of abnormal pelvic tilting, is to make sure that when you reach overhead, you don't allow your rib cage to expand and flare out toward the front, which will put a lot of undue pressure here in this part of your core. So what I want to do is keep my rib cage and my pelvis and all of my core 360 degrees around engaged as I reach overhead. Ideally, this is how you're going to perform this exercise. So you're going to breathe in, bring everything down, one opposite arm, opposite leg comes down to the floor, and then exhale, engage everything. I'm pulling my pelvic floor up, my belly button comes to spine, my rib cage connects downward, and I'm engaged 360 degrees, and I'm going to exhale, pull up toward the midline. Now I'm going to inhale, exhale, engage my whole core and come up. Breathe in, breathe out, exhale, and then engage everything as I come up. Now, as I'm doing this, I should not be feeling this in my back. I should be feeling this in my core, in my deep core. It should even feel like it's burning a little bit. And if you haven't tried the towel roll yet, it might really help to grab that towel roll and see if bringing the floor up toward your back helps to engage that deep core a little bit more. Now, if you're finding that it's too difficult to breathe in and breathe out while you're doing this movement, either because the coordination is too difficult or because it's just too difficult to come down while you're breathing in because your core isn't strong enough to breathe in through the inhale yet or to brace the core through the inhale yet, you're going to breathe in and then out and come down and up in one breath. Now, let's demonstrate a couple reps like that. So I'm going to breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. But ideally, you will work toward being able to breathe in and then exhale. Breathe in and exhale. Now, if you're feeling it in your lower back, what I want you to do is think about pulling this rib cage down to meet your pelvis. So if I were to imagine that my rib cage and my pelvis were little blocks, I would be able to stack them perfectly one on top of the other. And then I would have good core engagement here. So I want to make sure that that is engaged, but I also want to make sure that I am even pulling my pelvis underneath me by pulling up from my abdominal muscles. So having my legs up at 90-90 is actually going to help that a lot. 90-90 breathing will also help with that. So reference that exercise if you need a little bit more support bringing that pelvis into neutral. But that is the dead bugs with all of the breathing nuance that you can work on. Now, remember that quality of this movement is a million times more important than quantity or weight. Doing this exercise with good form is going to make all the difference in the world for how good it feels and how well it will support you throughout all your other exercises. And also, one of the most important things to look for besides do I have back pain, am I feeling this movement in my back, is to make sure that I'm not breathing through my head, neck, and shoulders. So when I breathe in, I don't want to see your shoulders coming up and back down. I want to see all that breathing movement here in your core and in the canister here. So if you're feeling like you're getting too much movement up in your head, neck, and shoulders when you're inhaling, I want you to make sure that you're doing your other breathing exercises diligently in order to allow for that 360-degree expansion in your belly, back, and your ribs.